Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Smokey Scale. Today I'll be diving into the latest album from Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, which is her third studio and solo album, released with the help of her brother Phineas, who's responsible for most of the project on the project. If I'm being honest, I've always been a fan of Billie, even before her first album was released and she was releasing tons of singles here and there to get her name out there. When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, in retrospect, is her weakest album out of the three. Despite its highs, its overwhelming emphasis to be edgy hasn't aged all too well, but I still overall like that album. Happier Than Ever, while being controversial when it released for its sound, was my favorite album with songs such as its title track, Billie Bossa Nova, and its lead single, My Future. It always had me coming back to listen to its well thought out tunes. So going into Hit Me Hard and Soft, I had a feeling that it would either be her worst or her best, and it seems as if I was not disappointed. So without further ado, let's get into it. Skinny, the intro to this 10-track album, is a short but sweet acoustic opener where she talks about still not being happy with herself after becoming skinny and about becoming in love and falling off of it, which seems to be a central theme for this album as a whole. This song, while sounding really good with its stripped-back production from Phineas and beautiful vocalization from Billie herself, reads more like a diary entry within her career and life as she matures. But because of that, it's not really a song that proves itself in longevity. Skinny belongs at an 8 for me. Lunch, the lead single for the album, is a song that has her talking about being in love with another girl and speaking about the things she would do with and to her. While the production on the sound screams very basic and generic in terms of the grand scheme of pop music as of 2024, it's not overbearing and Phineas does a good job of making it sound good at the very least. It's not really a song I could see myself coming back to, but I respect it being on this album as it serves as a statement from Billie about where she is with her sexuality as of now. Lunch gets a 7. Chihiro is my favorite song of this album. It mixes lo-fi production with an almost magical and energetic synth sound, which stands as its own revival of the old and dated lo-fi sound from around 2017 onwards. It has the very same lowbrow vocals that Billie Eilish presented herself with starting off her career, with a flash of the new, with upbringing vocals hitting towards the center and ending of the mystical sounding song. It's a really enjoyable track that I continuously see myself returning towards, and I think considering the fact I have no gripes with it, it's deserving of a 10. Birds of a Feather is an interesting track for me, not because it is interesting, no, it's because it sounds almost like someone else's song. My first impression of this song was that she was writing off of someone like Taylor Swift, because to me this sounds like a very early Taylor Swift song from her Red album, maybe even 1989 or Lover as well. But to be fair, considering the fact Taylor has been releasing nothing but slop since her 2020 masterpiece albums, I don't mind someone else taking the crown of poppy acoustic tracks. Besides it sounding like Taylor's earlier sound, the song is very enjoyable but not enough for me to give it anything more than a 7. Wildflower, the 5th track off the album, grew off me pretty well since my initial listens of this album. It's a somber acoustic track with once again great production, but has me falling off of it past the 2-minute mark, which I'll actually talk about later in the review about the fact that almost every song on this album repeats once or twice almost to fill out a quota of make every song 5 minutes at least. Back on topic, this song gets a 6 now because listening back to it, it's actually kind of annoying. The greatest, probably the worst perpetrator of the 5-minute song quota this album holds because it repeats the first section twice, which eventually builds up in the same section again but flips backwards. Now let me get something clear. This song sounds amazing. Her vocals are top notch as well, and I get that it's supposed to be a sister track to the Happier Than Ever title track, but I can't help to feel that maybe the style of track would have fit better on a different song that didn't feel like a repetition of itself 3 times over. Still, it's a great track for its sound and the lyricism is great even if it doesn't fit the style of track. I think it's still deserving of at least an 8. L'amour de ma vie, the 7th track and a seemingly full version of the attempt at a bossa nova song which can be found on Happier Than Ever. While I do like the vocals on this track because she tries to mimic almost a French accent, the song is kind of just there and the outro to this song doesn't really help its case either. I'll give it a 7. The Diner is the worst track on this album for me personally due to the weird autotune on the vocals, and it also just doesn't serve much of a purpose here. It does sound like a beat that would go hard if Slim Shady was rapping on it though. I give it a 5. Bittersweet is another 7 out of 10 because while it has an okay meaning-wise, the production pretty much carries it to make it enjoyable, and it's more like an interlude into the final track. Blue is one of the best tracks on this album, vocal-wise, lyrically-wise, and production-wise. The poppy intro into the minimal section of the song where her vocals overpower everything makes this one of my favorite tracks from her ever, and the experimentation with vocals alone makes this a returnable track for the future. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Anyways, let's get into the verdict. Overall, Hit Me Hard and Soft is an interesting enough album with really good production, but a little less experimentation with the ideas presented and some lackluster writing on some songs. As I said, this album feels like its main goal with each song was to fill out time with repetition, stretching most songs to nearly 5 minutes long. Sometimes it works and sometimes it ends up being a slog to get through, but I'll reiterate that the production and vocals on this album are probably the best you could get out of a Billie Eilish album right now, and it's looking to be one of the best mainstream pop albums of 2024 alone. Hit Me Hard and Soft gets a 9 out of 10 on the Smokey scale. That's about it. See ya.